or review at a new project site and contractor listing site called Porch.com, founded by or co-founded by Matt Ehrlichman, who I just happened to read about in Inc. magazine recently. The site functions and operates a lot like a lot of the other sites you happen to see in this space. It's got a little bit of reviews, it's got a little bit of contractor lists, but there's a couple things that Porch does that I think might interest contractors to kind of at least take a look at. It certainly doesn't hurt to have your profile listed with Porch. And some of you may even find that there's an opportunity for you to, throw some of your marketing dollars at Porch. Now, there's a couple squirrely things, inside of this that I'll point out that I would love to have, some people from Porch provide some clarification on, just so that we can get a better understanding of how Porch works from the inside and how the results are displayed. But I'll kind of get into those a little bit in a minute or two. Right now we're going to kind of just do a bit of a front-facing or customer-facing walkthrough to see how they get to a particular contractor and point out some things that I think might, over time, as the site matures and as they kind of expand out a little bit, how it might help contractors attract new business. So this is the home page that you would typically, when you go to Porch.com, this is what you're going to see. And honestly, I think the site is too new to have this as their entry point or their gateway into the site. And I'll show you why in a second. So let's say I am looking for a plumber in my zip code. I hit go, and I am presented with a map, and there should be a ton of red dots and blue dots that are going to populate the page. And I don't know why it came up Montreal, Canada. But let's go back to the home page and try that again. Maybe I did something wrong. So let's say kitchen remodeling with a zip code. And while we're waiting for Porch to populate, it would be nice if they had some kind of like splash page, something we're thinking, we're developing your list or something like that to kind of keep people interested. So what you wind up coming to is a list of, blue dots. And, as a user, from a user experience standpoint, you have no idea what these blue dots mean. So you got to start doing a whole bunch of clicking. Now, when you click into an area, now you see these whole bunch of red dots. So now you start saying, hey, maybe these are all people that do kitchen remodeling. But when you hover over them, you see that no, that's an electrician, or that's a painter, or this guy does tree care. What the hell happened to I was looking for kitchen remodeling. So here's what you have to do, and I hope they take some user experience examples and fix this. So I'm going to go back to the home page, and the better way to go at this is by going to their Find a Pro tab up here, because that's going to really get at what we want. This is kind of confusing because it really should kind of narrow down what I'm looking for versus kind of just give you a map of everybody that has listed, put their professional listing or their business listing on the site. So this is going to get us much closer to what we want. So let's say we want kitchen remodeling, and let me spell remodeling. Let me spell remodeling right. And we're going to use the same zip, and we're going to hit search. And again, some type of something to kind of let me know that it's working instead of, you know, down there in the corner waiting for Porch. And now it comes up with 3 results. Now, there's a couple of important things on this page that I can only assume are what's taking place. That is, because the site is new, right? None of these contractors have any projects that are in the system. But I will tell you this, that they are probably paying for this placement, because when you hit the see more, there's other contractors that populate the page, obviously. So there's a tab here that you want to click. See how we know which pro is best, because I'm going to go over some things that I found, you know, in kind of reviewing the site before I started to record that are pretty interesting with how they compile their list. Now, see how we know which pro is best? They do it by Porch knows which professionals your neighbors have used. Porch sees who your Facebook friends have endorsed, and they have over 90 million projects that tell us the type of work professionals have actually performed. Porch knows what professionals charge and can show you examples of their work. Now, that's telling you a couple of things. What they're doing is, and it's not in any other site that I've really seen, is they're using wisdom of the crowds. So they're kind of sniffing through what's happening on social media, and they're picking out what Mrs. Jones is talking about when she's online. That's how they're compiling that list of Facebook friends who have endorsed your company. As well as they've compiled a list of projects, and they've also got pricing down. So let's close this. Okay, so we kind of have a good idea of how this works. Okay, but the real trick, the real information, the devil's always in the details. So now Mrs. Jones has this list of people to talk about. Okay, and you know, we're kind of stretching out the list. I'm going to tell you right now that Claymont, Delaware, and West Deptford, New Jersey are pretty far away from this local search result. So you know, these are a little more, and even Bluebell is, you know, these are all half hour, 45 minute, you know, an hour away. That Jersey's an hour and a half away in good traffic. So you know, some of these places may not necessarily even want to bid on this type of project, but the way that they compile this, which is pretty cool, and we're going to click over here, and you see in the bottom, join Porch as a home pro, and this is where it kind of gets interesting for you guys. There's some interesting information that they put in here that, you know, might over the course of time have some pretty significant value to you guys. So let's take a look at this. So they've got local clients that are looking for your work, right? There's 100 sites out there that tell you that. So how they're compiling that is they're compiling it by knowing which neighbors of past clients are looking for their jobs. So again, they're scouring social media to find out who in your area is looking for the type of work that you do. They're getting job referrals from Facebook friends and past clients. Again, these are people that are talking about their specific projects and maybe mentioning you by name. Now, here's where it kind of gets a little squirrely. It says no altered search results for paying professionals. We've kind of heard that before with the way Angie's List kind of promotes contractors or not, and where you get specific placement. You get targeted clients in the locations that you want to work in, which is pretty cool because you can kind of, you know, pinpoint exactly where you want to work. And you have a transparent relationship with no upfront fees, simple sign up, cancel anytime. Okay, that relationship is between you as the contractor and Porch. So, you know, that's pretty cool. So you can always set up a free profile, and there's, you know, here's some testimonials that they have, and here's homeowners that are providing testimonials, and here's some confidence factors that they're using here to kind of get you to sign up. But here's where it really kind of, where you need to pay attention to. Click over on the how it works. So obviously they're using geolocation, right? You want to work within a certain area. Now here's some bullet points the takeaway from this. Your business profile is a digital resume that gives homeowners confidence as they research professionals. That's great. So you're going to appear in all relevant job searches. So that means people looking for what you do, where you do it. Okay? You're going to connect with past and prospective clients. This is all the social media aspect of this. Build a network of homeowners with no limits to size or numbers. Display awards and credentials. Okay? Upload unlimited projects and photos. And use social badges and Porch buttons for your website to drive credibility. Now, anybody that's paid attention to me for anything longer than a minute knows I want people going from these sites to your site. The last thing I want you to do is have them come to your site and then you take them away to Porch or anybody else. They should land on your website as the final destination, not here. Here's where it's interesting. So past performance is the best indicator of future success, right? We analyze millions of project details and service professionals every time a homeowner searches based on who's repeatedly done work for neighbors, who's been endorsed by friends, who's worked on similar types of homes, who's completed similar types of projects, and who fits within the user's preferences. Now, this algorithm they're talking about, it's all scraping information from all over, and all different kinds of places that has nothing to do with any of the marketing that you're doing, but it has to do with what's being said about you. So it's about your reputation. It's about what's going on in social media. And they tell you exactly how they're doing it. They have national campaigns driving massive amounts of homeowners to Porch, and these channels include search engine optimization, social media, blogs, online and offline advertising, real estate agents, newsletters, direct mail, and national and local press. Okay, that's all well and good. Here's what your website looks like, or here's what your page looks like, and that's fine. Again, I want them to be coming back to your website. But this is important because, again, this is kind of just getting information that they're just curating information that's being said out there on the web, and listening to what's being said about the industry, about your neighborhood, about the people operating in the neighborhood, and about you. So now, if you want to take it a next step further and you want to actually do a little advertising on the site, and here's where, again, where I mentioned how you can't buy for paid listings, and I'm hoping, again, maybe that somebody from Porch can come and provide a little clarification, because I think that's exactly where those first three contractors that we saw when we did the search, this is exactly where this comes up. Okay, so you can add marketing analytics tools to your profile for just $35 a month and upgrade your profile. Now, if I'm wrong, Porch, please tell me that I'm wrong, that that's not how those three people come up. Did they come up from their proximity? They certainly didn't come up because they'd done jobs recently in my neighborhood, because we saw that they had zero. So I'm assuming they're buying their way onto the top three results. And again, please clarify for me if I'm wrong. But here's where I also kind of come up with that interpretation. Exposure. With our tools, you'll be able to be featured on the Porch homepage for neighborhoods you've worked in. So that's a big one, because obviously none of those contractors worked in the area that I typed in. So they have to be advertising, or they're the only ones that come up or populate from a free listing standpoint in that area. Either way, either for $35 a month or just for having your free listing and being the only contractor that's on Porch now for that area, it's still a good deal for you, because it makes sense to be there when somebody goes to look for somebody in their area, right? So featuring in weekly newsletters to homeowners, okay, great. So they're going to do some direct mail for you, and promote your name for $35 a month. You can't beat that. Featured in social media mentions, over 120,000 Facebook likes. I'd like to know what that actually means, but again, it can't be wrong, or it can't be bad for you. Featured on the Porch blog as an expert driving unique traffic and a voice for your brand. Again, I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but that sounds. Listen, you always hear me talk about promote yourself as the expert, and you provide your expert advice by specializing. So if there's a way that Porch is going to help you do that, then you absolutely want to be a part of that. Invited to join your local Porch Professional Advisory Council. That sounds pretty cool. Not sure what that means, but it may be something that is worthwhile to you. Here's some great granular details that you may not necessarily get with some other places. You can see who's viewed your profile, the number of times they viewed it. That's a big one, because Mrs. Jones thinking about doing a kitchen remodel, you know, she goes through those 3 phases. She has no interest to buy what you're selling. She's thinking about buying and planning on buying what you're selling, and then she's actively ready to buy. So the number of times Mrs. Jones comes to your site or comes to your page and looks means that she has an interest. There's a level of interest there by her. It would be nice to see if there was a way that, you know, does Porch give you access to kind of reach out to her, or if you see somebody that is, you know, a hyper reader of your page, do they give you the ability to touch them somehow, some way, or speak to them, or have some type of live chat come up, you know, when they come back onto the page or something like that. Know what your competitors are charging for new business to see how your pricing stacks up. I hate this because, once again, this is driving, you know, the lowest common denominator. Get everybody to the cheapest price possible, and the only one that wins is, you know, obviously Mrs. Jones, because she's getting the best price possible, and the platform. You as the contractor, now you're smacking your head against the wall, because now you have to compete on price versus what you can do. And get alerts when new projects are complete for areas that you serve. Okay, so, and you get all this for $35 a month, which isn't a terrible idea. So let me click over to the resources tab. Right, so show off your Porch profile. That's great. You know, I hate that. It doesn't matter to me, because I want them on your website. You know, they've got a pretty robust customer service team, it seems like. I've called and kind of played around with it a little bit, so it's worth your time. Or they're good at what they do, so you may want to give that a try, simply for the fact that they'll help you walk through it and get you set up. See, they're big on doing the images as well, and I know from working with a couple of other sites like this, that one of the toughest things to get is get you, the contractor, to upload your images. So they'll help you with that if you need it. And pricing. Again, you have a free profile, so you can just display your work. You can get access to the network, and you can get listed in the areas that you want to work. And then you have the $35 a month, where you get more exposure to your targeted demographic. And once again, that's where it kind of gets a little bit of a gray area, where they say, well, you can't buy your way, you can't buy influence. But, you know, again, please somebody tell me where that isn't what that means. So I think if you clicked over to the About Us, About Porch, and again, that's the gentleman that I read about in Inc. magazine. I think there's some opportunity here to get in early. I think for $35 a month, it's a steal. I think, you know, if you were able to get, you know, one lead out of it, I think most of you are, if most of you are able to get one lead out of it over the course of a year, you know, it'll repay the $400 that you're going to spend on it in the course of a year, for sure. And I think as it gains traction, if they're going to do the marketing that they say they're going to do, and it seems like they've done, you know, a fair amount of kind of, you know, pre-build before launch to kind of have some meat to their bones, that there might be some value for you to kind of get on Porch now while it's young, and hopefully you'll be able to derive some new business out of it. So I hope this was worthwhile. Again, I don't have a nuts and bolts review of it. I'm kind of just giving it a cursory review of what I can see from having looked at, you know, 50 of these over the last 2 years, and how it might make sense or might not make sense to you, the contractor. So if you're on it and you have some information, or you have some ideas, or you have, you know, a best way to use it, or best use case, or best practices, drop us all a note in the comments so we can get a better understanding. If you're somebody from Porch who happened to find the video and you have some comments, we'd love to hear from you. I have some CEOs from some of the other Thumbtack and Manta check in here from time to time to kind of update and tell us what's going on and to clarify some things. So I hope this helped. That's it. Have a good one. Bye.